Hi everyone, welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and today is my second trip through the Make It March 2026 Spring Collab with JJ with Joy. You will find all the links down in the description box below. There has been a different video every day, March 1st through the 31st. You're looking at day 27. Now, everyone's welcome to join in. If you feel inspired, please share your creations on social media, either on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or you're welcome to post them in the JJ with Joy Facebook group. All of the directions, all the links will be in the description box below. Please remember to use the hashtag MakeItMarch2026 with all your posts. Please also take time to go visit all the creators and see what they've made. Leave some love. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to their channel already, and let's get making something. Now, I told you in the sneak peek that we were not going to be making a journal. But I want to talk to those of us who get the fun AARP mailings. And we get these little cards. Now, I just knew I could do something with these. And I have been saving them for 2 or 3 years. So I have a whole bunch of these to work with. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I decided we were going to do, I turned my timer on. It doesn't seem to be working. There we go. Now it's working. So I started with fabric strips. Now this was either dyed with Easter egg dye or it was dyed with the color ink cartridges from my printer. So I took these and I cut them the length of the card, gave myself a little wiggle room, and that's what I started with. Okay, so we have those. I'll set that over there on top of my journal. Then I used them to make an accordion book, and I sandwiched that strip of fabric between 2 of the cards. So I put a little bit of glue down, run the strip of my fabric. I did the same thing if it wasn't going to be an outside, and I glued them together just like that. Okay? And that gave me my hinge for the accordion. So I did that on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but there's nothing on the outside, and I'll show you why here when we get busy. So the next thing I wanted to do was, since I have those, is I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 10 pieces of the die cut. Now, I saved those pieces. And remember, we are working with the kit created by Tina, and I will leave her links for sure down below. Don't want to use those. I want to use just the backgrounds. So I'm going to sit down for this. It's been a morning. And I'm going to take and now what I figured out was, if I'm very careful with my cut, I can get 3 of the cards off of the non-directional dominant paper. If it's the dominant, like the all over seed pattern, packet pattern, I can only get 2. So I've tried to make sure I had extra copies of everything. And I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to flip the paper over and I'm going to trace them out. Just like, I'm going to go ahead and cut one of the patterns too, because I'm going to have 10. So I'll need extra of that one. Trying to get these pages to separate and they're not cooperating. So there's the 3 I'll need for those. And you know what I think I'm going to do? Because they all printed the same, I'm going to see if I can, and even if they come off a little bit, it's okay, but I'm going to try cutting them all off at the same spot. Crunch my trash can down so I can get more in there. And we'll go back this way. And this way I'm cutting 3 of these at a time. So we'll have them to work with. Because remember, I can only get 2 out of this one. So I've got to have enough of these sheets to get them all. And even if they're a little off, it's okay. because we're going to have cut off anyway. Okay, so there's that one. 2, 4, 6, and I only need 5 of those. So those are fine. I'm going to move that one out of the way. This one. This one. I don't want that one. But let's go ahead. This one's not cut off, so let's cut this one off first. This one I do have to be more precise on if I want to get 3 across. So this one I do have to be precise on. I'm probably better cutting them off one at a time anyway. Now this should go together rather quickly if you have all your parts and pieces done. I do not. But we're going to try and stick this to a 30-minute video. I know that the first one was a little long, but that's because I didn't set my timer right. So, and you know me, I don't normally do long videos, but it was a requirement to participate in the collab. And I've never done a collab before. I was excited to get to come play. There's 1, there's 2, and let's do this one. I can tell we have weather moving in because my trimmers are just not liking me today. I'm recording this on the 14th so that I can upload everything at the hotel and not burn up my Wi-Fi. I figured during the day at the hotel there's not going to be a lot of people using the Wi-Fi. So, it works for me. Okay, there's that. So I'm trying to get everything done ahead of time so I make sure that I have my responsibility done when the time comes, such as this one today. This is the 28th. We still have 4 more days left of this collab. And I'm going to be finished watching the last of them now. I didn't want to watch any of them prior to making my pieces because I didn't want to feel like I was copying, you know, and it's so easy to get inspired by somebody else's and think, oh, I could do that, and then do it. And I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to do my own thing. So I'm going to flip these over on the back, find one of those blank cards that I had here. There they are. Now see, this is the blue. There is no directional to it, so I can flip it over and I can trace around it. And I think I can get 3 on here. And I'm going to squish them pretty. In fact, I think I'm going to go to the other end first. And then I know how far over I need to come with the rest of them. You know, there's my trimmer showing you what my trimmers can do. Essential trimmers can be a challenge at times. They can create challenges for what you want to accomplish. Okay, see, I can easily, yeah, it's going to be close. I can get them in there, but there is not going to be any wiggle room. So when I cut these, I better be sure. I will probably, instead of trusting my fingers, I will probably do them on the trimmer. But there's 3. And let's do this one. I really love this one. Let's do this one. And all I'm doing is using one of my AARP cards for a pattern. All I'm doing. And then that way I know that what I'm doing is going to cover just perfectly. Okay. If I'm out of frame and you're not seeing the bottom, I apologize. But I'm going to scoot that to the edge. And if you have leftover when you cut these, it's okay. Dang it. Because I'm going to show you how we can fix that at the bottom. Okay, so there's our blue ones. Those are done. Now we have to do our floral ones. And I can't get 3 of these. If I go this way, well, I could. My flowers are going to go. But most directionally, the flowers are going this way. So I want to make sure that I go that direction with those. So I'm going to turn this one over. And I'm going to trace these really quick. Have you been checking out the other designers and collaborators? there are some really, I'm sure there are some really cool projects because there are some really neat people that are designing and that are playing this month. I know one of the collaborators, and that is Dorothy. She's the one that told me about the collab and thought I might want to jump in. I'm so excited to be part of the collab. All we had to do was just make sure that we emailed Joy and said, I want to play. So that's what I did. Emailed Joy, told her I'd never been in a collab before and I would love to take part if she had a spot for me. I could take up to 2 spots and I could fill in for somebody if she needed me to. Which at this point I'm glad she didn't, because so at least as of this recording right now, because I tried to get everything done ahead of time, making sure I had those tulips going the right direction. Okay, and then this is going to take us through these. Now once we get these cut out, and I am going to use the paper trimmer, except for rounding the corners because it will go faster. It's all a matter of just playing with what you want to add to the top. Now, like I said, she has some pockets, tags and whatnot that we can use. And then I have the paint chips that I intend to use. Now, when it comes to needing to be precise, I love this Fiskars trimmer because it has a wire guide, so you can line that wire right up to exactly where you need to cut. And I need to put my cheaters on for this one. So I make sure I'm getting on that line. So when I trim, I've cut exactly on that line. And that's going to be really important when we cut from the blue ones, because there is no wiggle room on those blue ones. So I will get these cut off really quick. And see, we have pieces we can use. So there's 2. This is probably taking the most, but I wanted to show you how I was doing this, and I didn't want to do it without you. So bear with me as we cut these apart. But by doing this in real time, you'll see how fast it goes. It really does go really fast. Okay, so there's those. Another piece of scrap that can be a belly band. I'm trying to make sure my tulips are going the right direction here. I've got one that's going to be a little short. But since it's down at the bottom, we can cover it with a pocket. Because remember, even if you don't do something exactly right, there's always room to fix it. Even if it means covering it completely and starting from scratch, there's always room. You saw that when we did the pocket page in the Bob Evans journal, where I had a misprint. I just made a pocket and covered it up and didn't worry about it. Okay, now this one we're going a little longer down the page, so I need to make sure that those are right. And then I can come back and line up that one. This wire guide is like, I wouldn't know what to do without it if I had to cut some things that had to be precise. You can only measure so many times and then not get it right and wonder what you did. This little wire guide on this Fiskars trimmer keeps you from having that issue. Okay. And just that quick, we have these all cut and we are ready to glue. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to move my bits and pieces off to the side. So we have those. Bring this back up here. Get the trimmer out of the way, because we don't need it for right now. I guess I do need to get my trimmer in the right spot, though. Okay, glasses off so I can see something. And we're just going to start with one. I'm not even sure if I'm going to do maybe an alteration. We'll see. But see, these tulips go both directions, so we're good with that. So I'm going to go around the corner. And I remembered to get me another bottle of glue out before I got started, in case I ran out. I've tried to think of everything. Bob is being so good. He's helping around the house while I work on this. See, these tulips have no direction, so that's okay. As long as I get top and bottom, get it lined up. Okay. And then I can come back. I think we're good. We are good. I'm going to get that little booger off of there. And then let's do one of the beige tulip pages, one of the seed packet pages over here. Now, if you're concerned about contact, remember, you have your little makeup massager, face massager that you can use. Get that lined up perfectly. And the Tombow glue allows me a little bit of wiggle room, which I found there's that one. The E6000 didn't hold it, so guess I'm going to cash that one out, and I will use my Tim Holtz sprayer for now. I have another makeup brush. I'll probably pick up a couple more this weekend while I'm in town. Get that brayer down. Okay. And I'm going to spread this out all the way so I make sure of what I'm going. I want to do a different blue there. Let's do this blue. Let's do that one. Okay. Okay, we are back on 15 minutes. I have this, I'll show you this cube timer when I'm done. It is a really cute timer. And if I'd have paid attention when I got it, I'd have bought it in teal. But I got it in white. That's okay. Now this is another one, there's no direction to it, so I can just make sure I get that on the right spot. Yeah, it's not over on that side yet. There we go. Okay. Now we have 15 minutes to do something with this, so let's go ahead and see what we can get done. This one gets another seed packet. Now, you'll notice I didn't clip the corners off on the paper. There wasn't any need to. It was doing its thing just fine. Okay. And then, I thought there was 3 different blues, but I guess there wasn't any of that other one. So let's go back to our tulip. Now I thought this lighter blue fabric was a good contrast for that periwinkle. It's still a blue. It has variations of color. So I was okay with that. Just want to make sure that I get my main goal is to make sure that I get my boards covered, and that's all I'm after. Okay. Sometimes getting a hold of things is a little hard for me. Okay. Move Tina out of the way. Flip this over. Now, if we're going to stand this up, I started with the blue over here, so let's start with one of the seed packet ones on this side and flip it around. Now this is something you could use that you could put photos on and display. I have pictures of Adrian, my eldest granddaughter, who turned 18 in November. Now I want to make sure I'm going right side up. That's the other thing. Okay. When she first came to live with us, before they found their own place, when my daughter needed a helping hand, that she found my tulips. And she was out picking every single tulip. And you know what? I just let her. I was amazed I had tulips because the groundhog and the moles usually get to them before they bloom anyway. So I was happy she was having fun. She'd pick them up and she'd stuff them up front of her nose and she'd go... So I just let her have fun. And I have several pictures of her sitting out there in the grass in her little sun hat, sniffing the tulips. This would also be great, since it's a spring theme. This would also be perfect for showcasing Easter pictures, Mother's Day pictures, May Day pictures. Anyone remember celebrating May Day as a kid? Making little cones from paper and putting flowers in them from Mom's garden and running around the neighborhood and hanging them on people's doors and ringing the doorbell and then running like crazy and hiding behind a bush so they didn't know where they came from. Does anyone remember doing the maypole in school? Can you imagine them doing the maypole in school now? If it hadn't been for school, I wouldn't have known what a maypole was, so I was happy to get that education. It was a celebration of color and spring and everybody being as one. I think it's one they need to bring back. Okay. So we did have three. We had two. We had this one and the one with the tulips. Scoot that one over just a little bit. That's not quite down over here either. But we're going to fix that. Anything where we've got a low white gap, I'm going to show you how we fix that. Now I have these, but they have a little bit of white on them. So I'm going to try and do these as best I can to camouflage them as opposed to cutting another piece of white. And I try to put my tools back when I'm done. So that's how I keep things organized over here. I found if when I'm done with them, if I put them right back where they belong, then I know where to find them. Unlike the pair of slippers that I took out of my car yesterday, Friday the 13th, and they were supposed to come in the house and be my new shower slippers. I travel with lots of stuff in my car, so that if something happens and I'm stuck out on the road, I have my essentials, including a pair of driving shoes and 3 other pairs of slippers, aside from these. Now, they're leopard print. How hard can it be to find a leopard print slipper? But apparently, it's going to be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside. We can reach back for them if we need to. Put my brayer away. Now we're going to come back in with our vintage photo, and I'm just going to go straight on the pad. And I'm going to flip those together just like that. And try to do just the edges. So any edges I missed. And I probably could have used the Lost Lagoon on this. But there we go. See, we've got some white showing up here, so we're going to come back and we're going to dust those. Give them a bit of a vintage. Now, I may come back later and trim this one off. I'm not going to try and do it on camera. This one as well. Okay, so we have those. Now we have our accordion. And it's going to stand up just like that and teepeed. Now, I have pieces pre-cut for this. This is going to be too tall and too wide. But I like it in the center, and I like where it's going with this. So I'm going to pull this one out. And I'm going to take about just shy of a ½ inch off of it, I think. Let's take a 1/4 off. We can always take off more if we need to. Save our little scraps. And this is only, here's one of my blanks. Six inches. So I don't want it all the way to the top. I'm going to take it at 5 1/2. Another piece of scrap. Set that down there just the way it is. Come back and dust this one with the vintage photo. Have you seen Crafting with Tony videos? Oh man, that girl cracks me up. And she does some really quick things that you can do. Okay, I went the wrong direction on this. I want to come from this way. So let's go from here down to there. Let's do that. I think I'm going to like it better. It's a little shorter than I wanted, narrower than I wanted, but I'm going to like it. I think. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's dust our edge, fix our edge, and then we're going to go around And we're just going to do, I am going to do the top. I'm going to do the long side. And I'm going to do the bottom. And I'm going to do this little short piece down here. Okay? And then we're going to stick that. Wasn't sure if I wanted to frame it or not, but I don't think I do. I think I want to do that. Now, yes, it's the same as that one. I'm okay with that. Because when I'm done with it, you're not going to know the difference. Now, remember we had this long piece and it's like the notches at the bottom of the tulips? It's okay. It's okay. We're going to take, and we're going to move it down. And this one I am going to snip right where it's at. If I try to do that, I'm going to mess it up. I know me. But we're just going to cut that off. Right where we measured. Kind of. And we're going to come down. Right down this way. And we're going to do a pocket. Let's edge it first. Let's edge it first. Now I'm not going to edge the bottom yet because I'm going to wind up trimming that bottom off. But make sure I'm going the right direction. Don't want any tulips going backwards. And then I'm going to run the glue right along here on the bottom. See that? But then we can come back with this. And where that notch was at, we can move it down and make that notch disappear. Then we can come back and trim that bottom off, and we didn't technically have to measure anything. Just like that. Okay? So we have a little pocket there. Could I have nudged that? Sure. Now, let's get into some fun stuff. We have this one. Let's go ahead and do this over here. Let's do it the same way. Let's grease it up. We know that's going to work. And I'm going to take and I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to flip it over backwards so I can mark that edge. And then I can clip that edge off just like that. And that one we can pinch. Then we can edge this. Whoops. You'll have that. I'm going to run a little bit of glue on each end. On each end, and then down here along the bottom. And that's going to seal that bottom up. Just like that. Just like that. Okay? And as soon as that dries, we can come back and snip that. Now, let's get into some other fun stuff. We have this one that can go on the blue. We have this one that will make an excellent journey card just the way it is. Same with this one, but these are the pieces I want to play with really quick. We are probably not going to finish this one from start to finish today, but I'm going to try. Let's start by inking this one up. Now see, this has got that really wide pocket to it. I'm going to take my trimmer, and I'm not going to cut it quite as narrow as I did the other one, but I'm going to go from the tip and take it down just a hair. Just like that. Okay. And then we can come back. Try not to bend it as we edge it. People have often asked, why do you distress? Distressing is like wearing that little black dress. It hides a multitude of boo-boos that you have made in your journal. If you've got a piece of white showing where you didn't cut it properly, it's perfect for that. Okay, I'm going to put this one over here. You distress it, and it doesn't have to be a brown. It can be any color you want it to be, just as long as it hides the white. Okay, now we have these, March Memories, New Beginnings, Quiet Moments, and then we have some plain brown ones, and that's where these are going to come in handy at. Now I would probably come back and make some other dimensionals on the bottoms of these, but I don't know if I'm going to have time. But what I will do is any changes I have to make, I will come back tomorrow and show you what I wound up doing. Okay, so you'll have a part 1 and a part 2. Okay, so we've got that, but that's going to need something, and it's going to need a cluster of something. It can't just sit there by itself. So, let's go into my bag of tricks over here. I have some of that gauze that I dyed, and this blue is perfect. So I'm going to cut a piece of it, and that's going to be a little big for that. So I'm going to trim it down if I can get it to stop sticking to my fingers. Because, you know, I've had glue on them, so I've got glue on them. Okay, so there's that. And that could sit right there. And that could sit right there. So let's do that. Let's run a bead of the glue right there to hold this. Stop it! And you know, I think I want some lace. I haven't played with lace much in these journals, so I think I'm going to add a little bit of lace. Now, it can't hang below the edge, or it's not going to stand up, and you want it to be able to stand up. So, turn loose of me. I'm going to take that. Now, I will probably have to come back and re-glue this with my ultimate glue, and I'm okay with that. But I want you to see how that's going to look. And that's going to do it. We're at 30 minutes. And then that would glue down. And then this, I haven't edged these. Let's edge this really quick. But you can see where this is going. So I want you to come back for part 2 when I will finish this up. And you can see how it all comes together. Remember to check out the links in the description box below. Go grab your digitals and play along. And I will see you back here tomorrow with, actually I'll see you this afternoon with part 2. In the meantime, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and creative blessings.